Before I get started with this commentary, let me give a shout out to Dina10 on Twitter. She said, Taurean, do you think that this would be a triple P? And I looked at it and I said, sure, why not? Now, it's been a while since I've done a video about Andrew Cuomo. I've done one about his brother. As a matter of fact, one of the most recent triple Ps that I've done was about his brother and his most recent incidents, and being fired from CNN. But now we're talking about Andrew Cuomo. So Andrew Cuomo wrote a book about his handling of the pandemic, which he got a lot of praise for, from outside people. But if you ask any New Yorker, many of them did not like how he handled the pandemic and everything going on up there. They feel like it was a lot of fluff pieces for the media and whatnot. But I'm sure the people of New York who didn't like Cuomo, which seems to be a lot in abundance, are cheering even heavier about this recent bit of news. So like I say, he wrote a book talking about the pandemic, and the company that he wrote this book for, well, not the company, but this New York ethics panel, saying that Andrew Cuomo, you need to repay back the more than $5 million that you were paid for this book. And they said they want every last dime of it. Now, this is probably a drop in the bucket for Andrew Cuomo, because as governor, I'm sure he's made a lot of money. He comes from old money, so this is probably not going to hurt him. But the thing is, his reputation is tarnished. It's pretty much ruined. I don't see how he's going to be able to completely recover from this. I say completely because I don't think they're going to do a whole Bernie Madoff on him. But his career, as far as anything connected to New York, is pretty much done. And many of the people up in New York are very glad of that. And his brother's reputation is done as well, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm gonna go ahead and read this article that's coming from Bloomberg. New York State's Ethics Commission voted Tuesday to require former Governor Andrew Cuomo to repay the more than $5 million in compensation he received for a book he wrote in 2020 on his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Joint Commission of Public Ethics voted 11-2 on a resolution requiring Cuomo to repay within 30 days all the compensation he earned from sales of his 2020 book, American Crisis: Leadership Lessons from the COVID-19 Pandemic. They want him to pay all of it. So he made more than $5 million off of this book. And they said they want him to pay all of it back. Every last dime, nickel, penny, quarter. Cuomo, who resigned in August over sexual harassment allegations, has been criticized for using public resources, including state workers, to write the book. The lucrative book contract increased Cuomo's net income more than fivefold to $1.5 million in 2020 from just over $280,000 in 2019, according to tax documents. The resolution says such repayment was necessary because Cuomo isn't legally entitled to retain compensation he received from the book's publication because he lacked legal authority to engage in outside activity. The panel voted last month to revoke the approval, and it had granted Cuomo for the book's publication, arguing he'd violated the conditions of that approval, which included requirements that he write the book on his own personal time without using state resources. Now, what I find to be interesting is that they had to have known that this book was already, in the works and was being published and everything like that. My first question is, when was this book published? Because I don't want to think that this book was published in the same year, which was last year. So it had to be published sometime this year. When in this year? Was it earlier this year? Was it middle? Was it a little bit before what happened with him? Because I don't want to say that this book was published after the fact, because if it was, well, first off, I don't think they would publish it considering the scandals and allegations that he had on him. I don't even want to believe that they would publish that book. So I want to say that this probably happened before. So this book was out for a while and they're just now doing it. And I think it doesn't have necessarily just anything to do with bad ethics on his part, but I think it also has to do with, let's strike the iron while it's hot and let's get our money back and get this removed while he's in the middle of a crisis himself, be it those sexual assault allegations. So everything else is added on. But this guy's a snake. They said he was using state resources in order to write this book, which I'm sure was money from the people, and he most likely stole to write this book. Cuomo's attorney Jim McGuire called the decision unconstitutional and said the ethics board's actions appear to be driven by political interest rather than the facts and the law. McGuire said in a statement, "Should they seek to enforce this action, we will see them in court." Well, this just got very interesting. Now I got a question to ask my subscribers. Do you think he's going to be made to pay that money back, or do you think if they go to court, he's going to have the law on his side and he's going to be able to keep that money? Because I can see it from both sides, and I just gave one side right there where I think I see where the attorney's coming from, where they're going off of more so of what happened with him back in August rather than just him using bad practices. But if the ethics board can successfully prove what they're claiming, then Chris Cuomo is going to have to pay up. And I really do mean, I said Chris Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo is going to have to pay up. And that's pretty much all there is to it. But like I said, this isn't my fight. This is not my fight. All I can do is come on here and just throw this, this commentary together, put the violins behind it, add the Petty Debbie at the end, and have the petty intro at the beginning with the music in the background. And that's really it. Who would have thought that the Cuomo brothers will be falling like this? Who would I didn't see that coming. But everybody has their moment, and this one is theirs. And how ironic all of this is coming out when Chris Cuomo, everything he had going on. He just got fired from CNN at the beginning of December, and here you have Andrew Cuomo in the middle of December, and he's going through it himself.